Hi, it's Kylie Koo. Welcome to my studio. So, we're into week 5 of Junk, Use It or Lose It. I can't believe this will take us to halfway through. I'd like to say that I'm really getting through my junk, but actually I think I've got more than when I started. But that's because I keep thinking, right, I'm not going to throw this out now until the end of the 10 weeks because I might need it for some of these projects. So that's my excuse to myself. Don't tell anybody. So this week we're going to be doing something a little bit different, but before I get into it I want to give a shout out to those other YouTubers who are following along and putting up their own videos and their own take on hashtag junk, use it or lose it. So we have Crafting Vicky, Green Macaroni, CraftySamarita, Julie, Olivia's Crafty Boutique, Laura Johnson, Crystal Dragonfly, Maggie Lockley, Nina Ribena, and I also want to give a mention to Jeanne Baney because she used one of my other videos which was using a cereal box to do ATCs, and I'll link my video to that above and I'll link Jeanne's below along with the videos from everyone else that I'm catching up with. So I've not actually seen all these videos because my internet was down for some reason earlier in the week, and also they're doing some upgrades to the power supplies in the area, and that meant it was off for a full day, and it's been a little bit intermittent, and it's going to go off again later in the week. So yeah, so for that reason I'm kind of behind with my YouTube viewing, but I've actually seen that all these folks have videos up. So as I say, I'll leave links below. Please do go and check them out because a lot of folk are actually putting their own twist on these projects, and that's given me a lot of ideas too. So they bring their own kind of style to it. So, you know, I think it's really worth taking a look to see how they approach the projects. So let's get on to today's project. One of the things that I really need is better storage. I keep everything, or a lot of things, in boxes and drawers. And every so often I find myself doing this major clear up, major tidy up, and I put everything back away in the boxes. And then I put it all away and I think, oh, now I want to do something. I want to paint or I want to make something, and I start dragging it all out again. And I've realised that there are a few things that I need to keep to hand. So storage is important, and I'm going to do something today that involves making a piece of storage. So the things needed for today are a shoebox or a box of that kind of description. Oh, and there we have some tissue paper. That would be great for another project. So a shoebox or a similar style of box, possibly some glue. I may try and not use that, but you probably need glue. Scissors or a craft knife, a ruler, a pen or pencil, and then tape of some description. So I have this duct tape. For folks in the UK, I got this in Hobbycraft, and the design is ink splat. And I think I'm just going to use this to actually cover my box, but you know, again, you could paint it or you could use papers to stick onto them, really whatever you want. I'm just going to use this. So in terms of this box, it's not the best. I find myself getting annoyed because some of the junk isn't the greatest. I mean, obviously a lot of companies are now using recycled materials, which is great, but it means that they're not the quality that they used to be. So this one's a little bit floppy, and it can really come totally apart and go flat, I guess. So I'm going to have to do a bit of reinforcing of this, I think. But, you know, we work with what we've got. So, let's get started. Oh, the other thing to have on hand, your beverage of choice. So this one comes with a lid attached. It doesn't matter if you've got this type or the type where it's a separate lid. But I'm just going to start by taking this off. So I'll just cut this off with either my craft knife or a pair of scissors, and then I'll be back and move this stuff out the way meantime. Okay, so I now have my two pieces separate. I will be using this again. It doesn't matter that this bit opens up, so I'll put this off to the side because I'll be using it again. Now, what I want to do, because as I say, this one actually comes totally apart and folds flat, all I'm going to do is to go round these edges just now with some tape just to hold it in place, and that will just help reinforce it. So I've now got my 4 edges done. You might not have to do that, just depending on the box you're using. And I've also, with this one, I've just secured, just very lightly, those tabs, just to, again, strengthen it a bit and to stop it from kind of unravelling. So what I now want to do is to measure the box, and this box is just short of 12 inches, which is roughly 30 centimetres. So I'm actually just going to use the centimetres because that fits more neatly, and I'm going to measure the halfway point. And I'm just going to use a thick marker so that hopefully it will show up. So halfway, helpfully, is along this line, and the corresponding line will be here. So again, let's just measure. Yeah, that's close enough. So I'm going to do that on both sides. Actually showing up a little bit better on this side, and you want it as near the middle as you possibly can. So I'm just going to draw a line down. This may rub off because it's shiny, and I'll do that on both sides. So what I now want to do is to mark a kind of triangle here, and I just need to decide what size I want that. Okay, I had to stop and think there for just a second. I want the triangle to go this way. I nearly cut it back to front. So, you know, really whatever length you want to make it. I think I'm going to cut it at 2 inches either side of that line. So that would be there and there. And then all I'm going to do is draw a line from the bottom of the box, so where it's still closed, to here. Now, because this box is quite flimsy, it's kind of moving about a bit as I'm leaning on it. But there we go, and then I'm going to do the exact same on the other side. So bottom of the box, empty bit, measure 2 inches either side of the empty bit, or the open bit, and again just draw the lines. There we go. And now what I'm going to do is to cut this triangle out. Okay, so cut the triangles on both sides. I really need to clean my scissors because they're all sticky with glue and other paint and whatnot. So there we have the box, 2 triangles. And the next stage is simply to fold that over, like so. So it looks like this. Now, there may be a slight discrepancy, just move it about until you get it more or less even. Now you could, if you wanted, put glue in here and glue it together, but if you have some sort of tape, be it sellotape or this tape, I'm just going to use this again. This is really quite strong and very tacky, so I'm just going to use that, and I'm just going to glue these down. I'm just going to take it right the way round the bottom, and again that will give some sturdiness to here. So down this side, around and up this side. Okay, so that's now actually pretty secure like that. I sometimes wish I had a third hand to hold things, but there we go. So that's coming together. So the next thing we need to do is, well, there's 2 things we can do. We need to put a front on this. It doesn't have to come right up to there. We could bring it right up to there if we wanted, or we could have it a little bit lower. But the other thing is, if you wanted a carry handle, you would put that in now. So that can be done in several ways. You could attach ribbons, or you could cut a hole in here. So I'm just going to think for a second about what way I want to do it. Okay, so I've decided one of the things I want to do is to utilise an old gift bag. It's one that's very faded. It was badly damaged. I've already started to cut it up for other mixed media projects, but what I've done is to take the 2 handles off. They just slipped out easily. And all I'm going to do, I don't know if I'm going to use 1 or 2. Yeah, I'll see. I'm going to punch holes first of all in here. So I'm going to put them about probably 3/4 of an inch down and 3/4 of an inch from the side. So I'll mark that first. So I've just put the one in, and I've put it in from each side. I could have put the other one in the other way or punched another set of holes, but I think that's fine just now. If you wanted to cut the hole, then again just measure where you want it to be, and you'd probably need a craft knife to cut out a little handle, and then what you might want to do is then tape round it. So the next thing to do is to put fronts on here, and this is where the top of our box comes into play. So as I say, you could cut right up to, have it right up to here, or you could have it a little bit lower. You could, if you wanted, when cutting the triangles out, make these, you know, you could have cut it further like that, so it has a sharper slope and less of a front on it. I think I'm going to leave it at this size though, because at this stage I'm not entirely certain what I'm going to put in. So I shall now cut my pieces, and I think I'm just going to make it up to this bit, because that will make it a bit sturdier. So this will be about 9.5 centimetres, just under 4 inches. And obviously the width from the top of the box should fit that nicely. So 2 pieces, each at 9.5 centimetres. Now the other thing about this box is it did have these bits cut out, but I'm not going to worry about that. If needs be, if I had a lot of loose things going in, I would just kind of tape over that or tape in a piece of cardboard to fill it. But I think for the purpose I'm going to use it, that won't matter. Right, let's get on to the next bit. Okay, so I now have my 2 pieces. I actually made them 10 centimetres each just because the box isn't entirely square in terms of its angles. And all I'm going to do now is to attach these to this. Now, you could use glue. All I'm going to do is to take some of my duct tape though, put it along each edge of this, and then once I've got the sides in place, I'll then secure the bottom edge. And that is basically it. You have your shape, or your basic structure anyway, of your carry box. Now obviously the next stage is decorating it in whatever way you wanted. If this was something you were having sitting on your desk with perhaps stationery supplies in it, then you might want to put some nice decorative paper over it. You could add embellishments, anything of that sort. You could put something along the top here, inside, really whatever you want. For me, this is going to sit in my art studio, and I'll show you a couple of things that you can potentially do with it in just a moment. But all I'm going to do meantime, I don't mind the silver on the sides here. Oh well, it's different on the other side. I think all I'm going to do is put more of that sticky tape around it just to hide these bits. I'm not bothered about the inside though. I did just put a little bit of tape there, which is where that kind of cut-out piece was. It was covered there, so obviously it made it sticky on the inside, so I put a little bit of tape there. So I'm just going to cover round here. I'm just going to use that same tape because I like the way this is looking, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've now been right around my box, and I think that's actually looking not too bad. Put it along the top here as well, just to give that bit a neater finish, and you know, up and around the edges. I didn't bother the bottom, I don't think that needs it, and I didn't bother the inside because for my purposes this is just to sit in my art studio holding various bits and pieces, so it doesn't need to be any neater than that. In terms of what I might use it for, well, there's a couple of things. I have these jars that I made as kind of tea light holders, a break storage. I'll leave a link above to that. I did that as one of my trash to treasure projects, so you know, these could easily sit in here. I mean, one of my things is that I have a lot of stuff sitting around on a coffee table that's in my studio, and every time I want to tidy or dust, which isn't very often, I've got to move all of these individually, whereas if I had them sitting in this, it'd be easier to move that. I've got these pencil pots sitting about, and these just fit in neatly. So even with that amount, this is actually quite sturdy. I more sturdy than I even expected it to be, you know, because that's not unreasonable weight in there. So there we go, those kind of 4 containers all together in this one caddy. And you know, if I had a couple of those, that would certainly serve the purpose of having all this loose stuff lying about. Oh dear, an empty crisp packet. The other way to do this would be to use our cardboard tubes again and just simply slot these in, and that would be actually quite a good way to use up quite a number of them. You could have them decorated or just have them plain. Let me get my box, my bag. If you had tall paint brushes, then you could put in one of the kitchen roll tubes, and you know, you could have tall brushes sitting in that. You can see I've got plenty of these. And then you could just have things sitting within that. And as I say, some tall brushes or something in there maybe. Because I sometimes find that tall brushes, you put them into something and because of their height they fall over. So you could stick these in place, or you could just squish enough in that became quite tight and almost held itself in place. So I've not got that balance, it doesn't hang quite as well, but there you go, a simple storage caddy. I'm definitely going to make more of these because I do have more shoe boxes that have sat about for years. And yeah, so I will definitely be using this in my studio. So I hope you like this project. I actually saw this years ago on YouTube, and it's one of those things that I always had in mind to do and never got round to. I was just hoping today that I remembered how it was done. So really happy with the way this has come together. I hope you like it. I do plan to do maybe another couple of storage solutions at one point, whether as part of this series or maybe more in future for next year. But if you do like this, please give it the thumbs up, and you know, please also check out those other YouTubers that are following along with the hashtag Junk Use It or Lose It series. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again for week 6 and also for any other videos in between. So thanks very much. Bye for now.